There's a lot of magic in Walt Disney World, but there's also a lot of cringe. Today we're counting down the guest behaviors that are loud, messy, rude, or just plain embarrassing. Here are 10 of the cringiest things we see in Walt Disney World. Number 1, the human traffic jam. A wise fish named Dory once said, "Just keep swimming." And honestly, that might be the single most important rule in Walt Disney World. Because the worst thing that can happen, and it happens all the time, is a family with multiple strollers and a wall of adult bodies suddenly decide to stop in the middle of a narrow walkway and have a full conversation about what they want for lunch. Now, I'll admit, I've been those people, and I've fallen victim to those people as well, so this isn't judgment. But when it's hot outside and your blood sugar's crashing and you're overstimulated, it's easy to forget that you're a person who once knew about basic human etiquette. But all we're saying is, just try to keep a little self-awareness when you're conquering the parks, because you might be unintentionally creating a bottleneck that could make or break another family's day. Whether it's getting to a ride reservation, making a dining window, or catching a show on time. That time I almost got crushed by an ECV. I have almost been run over, and I've watched other people nearly get seriously injured by an out-of-control ECV. And this is something I actually have a lot of compassion for because my mom has mobility issues. When she's in Disney World, I push her in a standard wheelchair, not because I wouldn't want her to have independence, but because I know that steering an ECV would be way too much for her, especially in tight turns or crowded queues. So when I see someone in an ECV driving erratically, hitting things or people, not able to stop, I don't just get mad. I look to the family and I think maybe someone should have stepped in. I don't say it out loud. I do think it because, yeah, pushing someone in a wheelchair is harder. But if that person accidentally injures another guest, it changes the course of everyone's vacation. That's a choice that affects more than just convenience. I personally had a moment where I almost got pinned, literally where I'm standing right now. It's a weird place to stand outside of Star Traders in Tomorrowland, but I was standing here because you can kind of get runoff from the store inside of air conditioning, so it's a little bit cooler and you're in your own little zone. A woman had lost control of her ECV one day when I was right here, and she drove it towards me and backed me into this little corner. And the only reason I wasn't crushed was because the architecture itself saved me. The wall pinched in just enough to stop her scooter from pressing my ankles. And when I looked at her, I didn't yell or, scream or say, "Oh my gosh, be careful." I asked, "Are you okay?" Her son, who walked up behind her, he kind of laughed and said, "Yeah, she just doesn't know how to drive it very well." Like it was a funny thing that happened. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It was not a funny thing that happened. It was scary, and I was lucky. And this happens a lot more than people realize, and it's not just close calls. There are confirmed lawsuits from real injuries. A college athlete at Hollywood Studios had his Achilles tendon nearly severed after being hit from behind by an ECV. Another woman's ankle was fractured when a guest struck her with a scooter inside a gift shop. And in 2022, a guest filed a lawsuit after they were hit by an ECV and claimed Disney had failed to manage the situation safely, resulting in a serious injury. On the closing day of Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama, I witnessed a collision between an out-of-control ECV and a stroller that resulted in a child being tossed from his stroller. The kid miraculously got up and walked away completely fine. The woman driving the ECV was disoriented, she was apologetic, and she was very much in shock. And again, I did feel compassion for her, of course. But to the people attending with her, I would say, love your family and friends enough to step in. If it's clear they can't safely drive an ECV, please push them in a standard wheelchair. Don't wait for something like this to make that decision for you. But of course, strollers come along with their own set of cringe problems, which brings us to our next category. Number 3, holy strollers. While ECVs go out of control and wreak havoc on crowds in Walt Disney World, armies of stroller-pushing parents seem to intentionally weaponize their strollers sometimes. And a complaint that many guests have is how big these strollers have become, to the point that it's like war tanks squeezing down tiny shop aisles. To accommodate this, Magic Kingdom recently refurbished its Emporium, widening every walkway in the store. But it doesn't stop a couple of them from congregating and making it impossible to pass through and do your souvenir shopping. Stroller parking is a big deal in Disney World and something that some guests think they can ignore and just park their stroller wherever feels convenient to them. But don't be surprised if you step off a ride and find that your stroller is gone. Because at certain places in the parks, they have cast members assigned to pick up stray strollers and actually drive them to stroller parking for guests, which is very confusing when the guest returns and finds their stroller is not where they left it. They have to ask a cast member. The cast member has to tell them that there is stroller parking and that it was likely moved there. And then the guest has to find that stroller parking and walk through the aisles finding where a cast member left the stroller for them. It's a subtle but effective way of both enforcing the rules and also teaching guests a lesson that the easy thing to do is park your own stroller in stroller parking in the designated area and know exactly where you left it so you can easily return and pick it up when you're done with the ride. Or you can do it the hard way, leave it wherever you want and have to search a bit longer to find it. Don't do it the hard way. And this isn't a once in a while oddity. It's all day, every day. Strollers getting left in dangerous spots, like right up against the water's edge in Epcot. Walkways blocked, people getting their ankles slammed, and of course, cast members having to quietly relocate strollers abandoned in random places just to keep the crowd flow moving. And while Disney has rules about stroller size, 31 inches wide, 52 inches long, no wagons unless they're medically tagged, you still see oversized strollers and wagons show up all the time. The crowds, the chaos, well, let's just say that at this point, it's very Disney World. Strollers are a way of life here. Number 4, put your feet away. There's a certain kind of person who can't resist touching stuff. You give them a boat ride and suddenly they're dragging their hand through the water like they're finally getting that tour of the touch and taste labs Dr. Nigel Channing always teased. And listen, I've seen it on every single one of these rides. Pirates of the Caribbean, Living with the Land, even It's a Small World. People just casually putting their hands or their feet in the water like it's a lazy river at a resort. Now the cringe part really is just put your gross theme park feet away. Why are they out on a ride and why have you dangled your leg over the side of the boat to put them there? But beyond that, while it might seem like you're dipping your hand into the most disgusting unfiltered water on the planet, but actually Disney treats a lot of its ride water with bromine, which is a lot like chlorine, but more stable and less harsh. Even Jungle Cruise, which looks like it's full of sludge and prehistoric bacteria, is filled with clean treated water that's just been dyed green-brown with a rust-based dye to make it look like a mysterious jungle river. But the part that actually matters here isn't the water quality, it's the fact that, once again, your feet are out. Put them away! And your hands dangling into the water where you can't see what's below. And no, I'm not talking about alligators, although there have definitely been real gators found in rides like Splash Mountain before. I'm talking about all the hidden machinery that keeps your boat moving. Tracks, pumps, guiding wheels, jets, metal gears, all kinds of stuff you definitely don't want to accidentally make contact with your fingers or your toes. If you're tempted to trail your fingers through that dark water like you're in some enchanted bayou, maybe just don't. It's not magical, it's not relaxing, it's chemically treated industrial fluid moving through a backstage plumbing system that happens to be themed. And again, please put your feet away. Number 5, destroy and abandon. Now, before you get mad at me and say that there are cast members standing by to clear our trays and clean our dirty tables, please know that I'm not talking about spilling a little ketchup on the table or leaving behind a couple of fries. I'm talking about full-on takedown and destruction of your quick service meal table, like you walked away from an explosion. This one really gets me because I actually try to leave my table as clean as it was when I sat down. It takes me no time, like literally 0 minutes, to pick up those loose grains of rice or wipe away the splash of soda that landed during my ravenous scarf session. But some people treat their Disney food like it's happening in a vacuum. They leave behind half a cup of sticky Sprite, crumpled napkins soaked in who knows what, open condiment packets, and a plate with literal food still on it. If it's still on the plate, we're lucky. It's probably all over the table, like someone's coming over to collect their scraps and bow in thanks. And here's the thing, it's not that I think cast members shouldn't clean. I mean, that is part of their job, but also they're not your personal maid, and Disney World is not your kitchen island at home. When hundreds of people act like their mess isn't their responsibility, it turns these dining areas into landfills by noon, and it's gross for everyone else, especially when you're walking around looking for a seat and all you can find are half-eaten burgers and a milkshake melting onto the tray. Again, if we're lucky enough to still have it in the cup. A lot of times the cup is turned over and it's all over the table. And yes, there are people who go way beyond food. We've seen actual diapers left on tables. I don't even need to explain that one. I can't. I don't even want to try. There are families who'll just walk away from a full-blown disaster they've created and never look back. This is one of those things that's not just about manners, it's about basic human decency. Clean your table up, pick up after yourself, be the guest who makes it easier for the next person, not the one who makes everyone's day a little more difficult and a lot more disgusting. Because someone will always have to clean that up, and it shouldn't always be a cast member running behind you with gloves and a garbage bag like you're their toddler at a picnic. Number 6, flash in the dark. There are two kinds of ride rule breakers in Disney World, the ones who just don't know better and the ones who do but don't care. Let's start with the flash photography. If you've never been on Haunted Mansion before, let me explain the vibe. It's dark, it's moody, and it's entirely built on lighting effects. You're not seeing ghosts because they're there, you're seeing them because Imagineers designed a series of illusions that only work in near total darkness. But the second you fire off your camera flash to take a blurry photo of the attic bride, the whole illusion vanishes. It doesn't just ruin your picture, it ruins the ride for everyone around you. But it's not just Haunted Mansion. I've seen people use flash on Pirates of the Caribbean, Peter Pan's Flight, Spaceship Earth, and Frozen Ever After. And most of the time it's not even for a photo, it's a video, and they've accidentally left the flash on for the entire time they're filming. So now for the whole ride, they're just illuminating the heads of people in front of them. You're not making your video any better. You're not seeing the ride more clearly. You're just killing the mood for everyone on your boat or ride vehicle. Same thing with fireworks. People film the show with a flash on like it's helping them see the sky better. It's not. It's just bouncing light off the crowd's heads, casting shadows, and ruining what would have been a beautiful nighttime atmosphere. Now, I get it. It's easy to accidentally leave the flash on. I've done it. Honestly, it happens to me probably once every 6 months. I've never done it on purpose, but the issue is that the person using the flash tends to not realize it's happening, and it's always the people around them who notice. So now I'm sitting there trying to decide, do I tap this person on the shoulder and politely say something, or do I just deal with it? Because I'll be honest, I never have the nerve. What would you do? Let me know in the comments. Maybe you have the type of personality that you can let someone know without it becoming a thing. And if so, I thank you, because this is one of the things that takes community awareness to fix. Number 7, we're just joining our family. Let's talk about line cutting, because it's not always as obvious as someone running past you in a queue yelling, "Later, losers!" Sometimes, I've actually never seen anyone do that, but it sounds funny. Sometimes it's a little sneakier, a little more manipulative, and it usually comes with one of two phrases. We're just catching up to our family, or they're holding our spot in line. Now here's the thing. I get that sometimes people need to leave the line. People need to go to the bathroom, okay? They need to be able to leave and go to the bathroom. And it's not just IBS, it's other conditions as well. And it's just being a child. Sometimes your child says, I don't need to go to the bathroom, and then halfway through the line, they suddenly need to go now, or it's gonna be a disaster. And so the only option that you have is to leave the line. And this is what Disney wants you to do. Leave the line, mark your place in line with either a family member or friend or somebody that is in the line next to you. Find the nearest restroom, use the restroom, and then walk back through the line saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm coming back through. We used the bathroom, sorry, excuse me. It's not an ideal situation to say the least, but it's what we have. But there's a big difference between, hey, my kid has to run to the bathroom, and 6 people coming back into the queue 20 minutes later and squeezing past everyone to rejoin a party that's now halfway to the front. And at that point, you're not catching up. You're bypassing the entire system everyone else is honoring. And don't give me that they were just holding our spot nonsense. This isn't a high school cafeteria. This is a virtual grid of hundreds of guests moving together in real time under the scorching Florida sun, which I'm experiencing right now and is intensifying the delivery of these lines. I once watched a man try to merge his group of 8 back into line for Slinky Dog Dash. They'd been gone so long the cast member literally didn't remember them. People behind me started getting visibly agitated. One woman said absolutely not and blocked the line with her stroller. It was Disney drama at its finest, and honestly, she was right. Because the rest of us had been standing in that line in the heat, direct sunlight, for over an hour. And you know what makes this behavior worse? The smugness, the casual, excuse me, as if you're the one being rude for standing in their way. Like you should feel awkward while they pretend nothing shady is going on. I'm not saying every situation is a crime against humanity. Sometimes, many times, there's a real reason, and I do not want to vilify people who need to use the bathroom. But this trend of assuming it's okay to rejoin a line with a full party of adults late because someone held your place is not just bad manners, it's entitlement, and it's cringe. It is quintessential Walt Disney World cringe. And when someone experiences these a couple times in one vacation, this is why so many people walk away from a day at Disney World feeling irritated, exhausted, and weirdly resentful of humanity. You don't get a lightning lane just because your cousin stood still for 45 minutes. If your group can't commit to the line together, maybe don't get in it until you're ready. Because the rest of us, we're already doing the hard part. Number 8, matching shirts that hurt. You've seen these. Heck, maybe you've even worn one. The group shirt, the family uniform. You'll see ones that say most expensive day ever in a big Mickey head. Another says broke, while the wife's version says spoiled. Or the dad's wearing a shirt that says princess security, like he's the unpaid bodyguard for a 6-year-old in a tutu and a bibbidi-bobbidi boutique bun. Try saying that 5 times. These shirts are literally all over Walt Disney World, and they are the loudest kind of passive-aggressive sarcasm you'll find in a place that's designed for joy. Some are clever, some are cute, but some are just plain cringe. There's a whole subgenre of shirts that are sarcastic, provocative, even borderline inappropriate for a family environment. And while that might be hilarious to you and your travel party, just remember, everyone else around you has to look at it too. And that's the whole point. Shirts with bold sayings or inside jokes aren't just something you wear, they're something you broadcast. They enhance or alter the experience of other guests, whether you meant to or not. That doesn't mean you can't wear a fun shirt. It just means the moment you do, you've entered the Disney stage, whether you wanted to be a part of the show or not. Now look, I completely get it. If you're visiting with a large group, wearing brightly colored shirts of the same color can help you keep everyone together, and that's not what I'm talking about. That is not cringy. But if you got them printed with something like, we paid off this Disney vacation and now we can't afford our car payments, then you move into Cringeville. Welcome. For the record, we've got a whole collection of park shirts over at shop.allears.net that aim to be fun without the cringe. Witty, subtle, and actually wearable in public without humiliating your non-Disney friends. You'll still get compliments in line, just not the kind with a passive-aggressive eye roll behind them. Number 9, auditioning for the pre-show. There's a very specific type of guest behavior that instantly takes me out of the experience and gives me the cringe, and it happens in some of Disney World's most beautifully designed queues. I'm talking about guests who treat the pre-show of some of your favorite rides like it's a midnight screening of Rocky Horror Picture Show, or like they're auditioning for the role of the rabble-rousers in Julius Caesar. That was for all our Shakespeare fans out there. Mary! Mary! The moment a scripted line starts playing, they're yelling the response back, or word for word in full voice, right on cue, saying every single line with the actor. You've heard it on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind when Terry Crews says, "What do they call themselves?" You know someone's gonna scream, "Alcoholics," like it's the cleverest thing anyone's ever said. Or on Haunted Mansion, people belt out every single stretch room line like it's their personal poetry reading. Some folks even start yelling responses before the character finishes talking, like they're trying to speed run their way into proving how well they know it. And listen, I'm not that much of a snob. I get that the love of the parks runs deep. I've memorized lines too. But when you're shouting over the audio design, dominating the shared space, and hijacking the rhythm of the experience for everyone else, that's not fandom. That's being, trying to find an appropriate word to use on AllEars YouTube. That's being a party pooper. So what's actually going on there? That kind of behavior tends to show up in a few different behavioral and psychological archetypes. Some guests are social signalers. They're flexing how many times they've done the ride. It's not about enjoying the attraction, it's about being seen as someone who knows it better than you. A well-designed pre-show is like theater. It sets tone, stakes, and rhythm. Whether it's understated like Flight of Passage, get it? Or over the top like fine-looking groups of recruits experiencing Rise of the Resistance. The goal is immersion, and the moment one person starts loudly reciting the lines, that immersion collapses. You don't sink into the world if someone else is trying to steal the spotlight or proving they've had this experience before. That's not what these rides are about. They're about being disarmed, surprised, experiencing the magic for yourself. I'm not here to shame people for having fun. I'm here to remind you that we're all sharing these moments together. You don't need to prove how well you know the script. Let the space hold you. Let it breathe with you. Let's all breathe together and have this experience the way that Imagineers intended it to be. Hate to break it to you, they did not intend for you to be delivering the actors' lines with them. But if you absolutely have to yell something, maybe save it for your bathroom mirror at home. That's where I let out most of my cringe. Number 10, Epcot party animals. Okay, I need you to picture it. It's 6:45 p.m. at Epcot. The sun's going down. You're strolling past the France Pavilion, maybe thinking about dinner, and then you hear it. Someone screaming, "France!" into their phone, holding up a half-melted martini like it's the Olympic torch. They do a shot. They stumble. Their friend yells, "UK Pavilion next!" And they take off running. That is the experience of being sober in Epcot during drinking around the world. Now listen, I'm not coming for your fun. I get it, it's a tradition for a reason. For some people, it's a bucket list item, but what started as a playful rite of passage has morphed into a full-blown theme park pub crawl. One that's not recognized or endorsed by Disney in any way, and unfortunately, it's kind of becoming a problem. I personally know an EMT who's worked in the parks, and he told me that the end-of-day situation at Epcot can get dark. People passed out, too drunk to walk. A young guy once had a pocket full of receipts and no money left to get back to his hotel. He didn't even know where he was staying. Just imagine being so wasted at a family theme park that you can't get home. It's not just the personal fallout, it's the ripple effect. Families from around the world are coming here, many of whom don't drink or aren't used to seeing intoxication in public. And instead of the magic of World Showcase, they're watching adults scream into their phones, or worse, get in arguments, climb on structures, dare each other to jump in the World Showcase lagoon, or film themselves splashing around the fountains of France like they're at a Vegas pool party. There's a reason drinking around the world shows up in so many cringe articles. Disney Food Blog and All Ears have both covered it, citing guest complaints and messy social media trends. And let's be real, when your Instagram reel is mostly yelling and chugging, you're not exactly enhancing the experience for anyone else. So if you're planning to drink around the world, have fun, but pace yourself. Eat, hydrate, know your limits. Epcot is a permanent World's Fair. It's about culture and creativity. You don't want to be the reason a little kid from across the globe remembers their Disney trip as the day they saw a grown man try to body slam the Italy pavilion. Let's raise our glasses responsibly. We did it! We got to the end of the video, and now, since we're still here, go ahead and drop this password in the comments down below, and while you're down there, hit like and subscribe, plus turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when myself or one of my friends puts out another video, something we do all week. See you next time.